So welcome and thank you everybody for joining us for the Delray Beach Public Library's Technology Training and Innovation Lab webinar series. My name is Craig Santiago, Teen Services Librarian here at the library. I'll be moderating today for the class, and before we begin, just take a moment to mute your microphones and familiarize yourselves with the chat window. Please type any and all questions that you might have during the presentation in the chat. We will try to answer as many as we can, either during the presentation or immediately following the presentation as well. Our presenter today is Ben Kahn, Instruction and Innovation Librarian here at the library. Ben has a master's degree in Library and Information Science, a bachelor's degree in Music and Mathematics, as well as a graduate certificate in Geospatial Analysis. He is a certified Adobe Education trainer, a former trombonist and musical director for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines, and has a growing body of artistic projects, including musical compositions, logo designs, podcast editing work, and video productions. Here at the library, he has played a key role in the development of the Technology Training and Innovation Lab, as well as our DIY recording studio, partnering with local community organizations such as Bound for College, the KOP Mentoring Network, and the Milagro Teen Center. Today, we'll be looking at how to use Adobe Premiere Pro to create composite images by manipulating and combining other images. I will now hand the presentation over to Ben to let him explain the agenda for today.
All right, thanks, Craig. I think I had an error on the script there. We're going to be working with Adobe Premiere Pro for editing videos.
Oh, my bad.
So that was my fault. Did everybody hear me okay? Working. So again, we're going to be editing videos with Adobe Premiere Pro today. To cover what we're going to cover today, we're going to do a little introduction to the Premiere Pro user interface, just to get a feel for working in Premiere Pro. I'll show you how to import project resources so you can kind of pre-process them before adding them to your project. We'll be spending some time on editing clips or editing clip sequences in the timeline. I'll show you how to add transitions between videos to kind of polish things up and make the transitions cleaner. I'll show you how to add and work a little bit with audio files. We'll add some text elements, in particular a title and a rolling credits page. I'll show you how to animate that as well. And then finally, once the video is finished, I'll show you how to render the video and export your finished video project. All right, just before we get started, I know some of us talked about this before the meeting started, but I've got a little poll for everyone today just to get a feel for what your familiarity is with Adobe Premiere Pro. So let me go ahead and launch that and see if this will work. All right. So again, this is completely anonymous. Just rate yourself, how familiar are you with Adobe Premiere Pro? You can say 1, you're completely new, never heard of it before. 2, you've heard of it but haven't used it. 3, you've tried or used it a little bit. 4, you know your way around but want to know more. And 5, use it all the time or use it professionally. Okay, so most are saying that they've heard of it but haven't used it yet, or maybe used a little. So that's great. I mean, this class is going to be geared towards someone who is fairly new to Premiere Pro, but wants to edit and produce videos. Let me go ahead and upload my notes for today if anybody wants to follow along with those. Was anybody able to download the video files for today? I sent that out in the reminder email earlier today. There we go, that's uploading. Okay, so again, these are the notes that I'm going to be using for today, to go through the project. If anybody wants to take those home or follow along, let's go ahead and get started with Adobe Premiere Pro. So when you first open up, I need to share my screen first. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we are. And now I'm going to bring up Premiere Pro. Okay. When you first open up Premiere Pro, you get a screen that looks like this, and you'll have the option to either open or start a new project. So I'm going to click New Project. And today, the project that I have designed for today, we're going to create a short nature video compilation. So I've got a series of about 10 or 11 clips, which I got off of pexels.com, which is a great source for free stock video footage. If anybody needs free footage to use in your projects, pexels.com is a great place to start. And I'm just going to call this nature video. One thing to note, because I know we've had this issue here sometimes, if you are recording on an Apple device, so either an Apple MacBook Pro like I've got here, or perhaps an iPhone, if that's what you're using to record your videos and you're recording in the .mov format, Premiere Pro sometimes has issues with that format because it's a variable sample rate format. Premiere was designed mostly to work more with the fixed sample rates. One way you can fix that, when you create your new project, if you go to Ingest Settings, click Ingest and Transcode, you can then set it to an H.264, which is your standard MP4 format. So that way, when you move your video files into Premiere Pro, it will automatically convert them to that MP4 format, and then you won't have to worry about any glitching issues due to your MOV files, so you'll be able to work with them that way. I'm going to click that just in case. Today, the files I am working with today are all MP4 files, so it shouldn't be an issue anyway. But let's get into the Premiere Pro interface. So let's see if I click on, or let me just start from there. There are 4 main panels that you need to worry about in Premiere Pro. I mean, these panels are pretty much available with any workspace that you choose. Those are the project panel. That contains all of the resources that you've imported into Premiere Pro to use in your project. So it's kind of like the holding tank and, pre-processing area. I should say the source panel is really what we use for pre-processing. This, the source panel displays the source video clips that you've stored in your project panel. So those two are linked. And in the source panel, you can decide sort of where you want the in point and the out point of your videos to be. Any changes that you make in the source panel are going to be permanent changes to your video clips. So be careful there. The timeline, this is sort of the main editing panel in Adobe Premiere Pro. This is where you're going to drag all of those source clips in and create your video sequence, where then you can edit those clips, you can make changes to them, you can shorten them, lengthen them, you can speed up or slow them down, and we'll get into that in the bulk of today's program. Speaking of programs, the program panel up here is sort of the preview panel. So this is where you will preview the video project that you've created in the timeline. So the program panel and timeline panel are linked together in that way. Last thing I want to mention, in addition to those 4 panels, there's actually quite a few other panels that you can use in Premiere Pro that have all of the different tools based on the type of project that you're doing. You can see all of those panels up in the window menu up at the top. Okay, all of the ones that are checked are the ones that are currently visible. The one that says workspace up here, workspaces are basically presets that show you different panels based on what job you're looking at. You have different workspaces for assembling your video footage, for working with audio or color, for doing your edits, for creating graphics like text, for working with effects, and we'll get into several of those today. Shortcut to all of those workspaces is this. Let's see, let me move this out of the way so we can see it. So up at the top of the Premiere Pro interface, you have this little bar here. This is your workspaces panel. So to quickly navigate between each of those workspaces, so for right now, I'm going to click on the assembly workspace, and that just sets me up with my project panel, my timeline panel, and my program panel. If I go into the editing workspace, that also includes the source panel. And we'll look at some of the others later. But just to give you an idea, that's what these buttons up here are for. These are just quick shortcuts to get to different workspaces based on what you need. All right, so moving on, we're going to import some footage into Premiere Pro. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do this. And as sort of easy way, if I navigate to my desktop here, I've got this folder, Editing Video with Premiere Pro, that contains all of the resources I'm going to be using. If I want, I can take one of these video clips and just simply drag it into my timeline here, and it should automatically import. So you can see I've got the video over here in my project panel. If I double click on that, I can see it in the source panel, but I've also already added it to my timeline here. The timeline, again, kind of controls everything that's going into your project. And you can see the length of it. So, it's about a 22-second video. Let's see, I'm going to click OK on that. And you can use the playhead here to kind of scrub through the video footage to see what it looks like. I think it's still rendering as it's coming in. But you'll notice over here in the project panel, I have not only the source file, but it's also created a file for my video sequence. So again, that's one easy way to just place videos in your timeline to get started. A better and more organized way to go about it, if you have a set of video footage that you want to work with, is to go up to the File menu up at the top and down to where it says Import. And there again, I can locate those files. And let's see. If I click and shift-click, then that'll select all of those for me. I can click Import, and then all of those video files will be imported into my project panel without placing them in the timeline, which can be better because then you can go through and organize which clips you want to move into the timeline. Again, the clips from today are, sort of a mixture of different nature videos, some of them ocean-related, some of them forest-related. So we may not use all of them, but I think this one's a nice one to start out with. To play the video, you can either click the play button in the program panel or hit the space bar, and that will start the video. You can see the preview there. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, let me just stop that. And let's see. As I mentioned, in the source panel, if I want to define if I click on this video here, if I want to define in and out points for my video in the source panel, I've got my own little playhead in here, and I can decide I don't want to start this video right here. So I'm going to click Mark In, and then I'll move it over here and click Mark Out. And now, instead of getting that video that was originally 12 seconds, when I drag this video in, I've cut it down to 9 seconds. So I'm going to append that to the first video that I dragged in. And you can see if I play it from here, it'll transition into the second video there. And not only that, but it's starting at that endpoint that I set up in the source panel. So again, that's just a way to kind of pre-process the footage before adding it to the timeline. Now, that's not to say you can't trim the videos once they're in the timeline. Let me go ahead and show you that by adding another video. Let's see. Here, let's go with our iguana friend here. Move him onto the end there. And this one's a little long. You know, I only want this video to be about 30 seconds to a minute. So I'm going to shorten this. All of your editing controls for the timeline are over in this bar right here, if you can see my mouse. You've got the selection tool. This is used to select your different clips. You've got the select forward tool or track select forward tool. This one will select all tracks forward from where you click on. So for example, if I click on the second clip here, it's going to select that one and the one ahead of it, but not the one previous to it. The ripple edit tool. This one is used to trim your video footage, but then also move over the other clips. So I just shortened up that second video there, but you'll notice that the third video moved over with that trim that I made. If you're using the selection mode and you were to do a similar edit to that, if I start moving this one over, then it's going to leave a space in between. With the razor tool, if you use the razor tool to make a cut somewhere, I tend to do this a lot. If I know exactly where in my video I want to cut, then I can use the razor tool to break this clip into two different clips, go back to my selection tool, select that second part that I want to get rid of, and now if I hold down the Option key and hit the Delete key, that will move it over just the same as if I were using the Ripple Edit tool. All right, so if I just add in a few more videos to my sequence here. Let's see, let's go ahead and move to the beach scenes. Seal. I think I'll move him over a little bit. Now, when you're placing video clips, you have to be careful because if I place this on top of the seal that I just placed, it's going to overwrite that. If I want to go back one step at any point, I can do a Command Z or Control Z if you're using a PC. And to show you a little trick, if I place that in, this time hold down the Command or Control key, and now let go, that will place that video clip in, and the other one gets moved over accordingly. And again, that one's rather long, so I'm going to use my Ripple Edit tool to back this one up. And what else can we do here? So we've got the seal. Let's move to an underwater scene, maybe. And again, I'll trim that some. And finally, we'll end with this sunset on the beach. Again, I don't want that quite to be that long. I'll back that up. And you'll notice some of these videos came in with their own audio files, some did not. If you want to keep the audio, you can. If you want to get rid of the audio, what you want to do is go ahead and lock the video channel by clicking this lock key over here. And that enables you to edit only the audio portion. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the audio from these three clips. I'm going to click and drag to select all three of them, then just hit the delete key. And that's going to delete them without deleting the video clip as well. If this were unlocked and I were to select an audio clip that is linked to a video clip, once I hit delete, it's going to delete them both. So again, that's a useful thing to know there is that lock tool. You'll notice there are multiple video channels and multiple audio channels as well. So you've got, Premiere starts you out with 3 video channels labeled V1, V2, and V3, and 3 audio channels, A1, A2, and A3. So if I wanted to keep those video files that I had in before, I can still overlay some kind of background music or perhaps a voiceover. If you want to record a voiceover in Premiere Pro, you can do that using this little microphone button here. Just to demonstrate that, if I click, I'll go ahead and move over to this one to show you how you can do it over another audio channel. If I click voiceover record, click OK, so we can access the microphone. It gives us a 3, 2, 1, and here we are walking through the woods. And so you can see now my audio mixed together with the audio from that clip. And here we are walking through the woods. And again, that's just a demonstration if you wanted to record a voiceover. Let me go ahead and show you how to add other audio files. So you import the same way as you do the video files. Let me go ahead and re-import the music file that I wanted, which is this Maydan Pure Water MP3 file. Okay, now that I've got that imported, let me drag that onto my audio bed. And if I play that from the beginning now my video has background music to it. I think right there is probably long enough for that intro clip there, so I'm going to go ahead and move that back all the way using my ripple edit tool. One thing professional video editors will try to do, when they're working with a background track like that, is often to line the video clips up with what's going on in the music. So you can kind of hear the transition there as it goes from one clip to the next. And again, right there, we should get another change in the music, so I'm going to go and back that one up. Yeah, it's just a little too long, I think. Shorten that one a little bit. And go back to there. And finally, the ending. So again, just to show that from the top. Still hear the ocean waves underneath the music there. A couple other things you can do with the audio. If you do go into the audio workspace up the top, you've got this essential sound panel as well as the audio mixer over here. And if I play my video, you can see the different levels for the audio files there. Let's see, this is audio track 1, audio track 2. So again, if you had multiple audio files and needed to balance them, you could do that over here in the mixer. You turn one track down, turn the other one up. There's not much in audio file 1, but to give you the idea and let you know that's there. The other thing I did want to do with my audio is to add in a transition. And actually, that's not in the audio panel, but in the effects panel, which is what I wanted to get into next anyway. Over here, if you go into the effects workspace, you have the effects panel. I'm going to go to audio transitions and add a simple exponential fade to the beginning of my audio here. So that way when it starts off, it comes in kind of gradually. Can you hear how the audio fades in there? Yeah, again, it's just to create a smoother and more gradual start. I'm actually going to cut the audio at the end of my video here. So actually, I might leave that for now. So I think I'm going to need a little more length on that for my credits. But I am going to add another fade on the end. Let's cut this bit off here. So again, to add that effect, I just click and drag from the effects panel to add it to the end of my audio clip. And if I want to extend that, I can click on the effect itself using the selection tool. And move you guys up here. If I want to zoom in on that effect, there are a couple of different zoom knobs for the timeline panel. You can use the horizontal one to either pan through or to zoom in on wherever your playhead is. This lets me get close enough to where I can extend that audio fade to be a little longer. And that gives a nice fade off on the end. So again, to zoom in or out, you want to click on the end of this bar here, and then to pan through, click and drag on the middle. You have similar controls for the vertical aspect of the timeline, both for the video tracks. So if I want to zoom in and see more on my video tracks there, or on my audio tracks, so I need a better picture of my waveform, to see how that's looking. Okay, and while we're in that effects panel, let's go ahead and talk about video transitions now. Zoom back out on this, and zoom in a little bit on the timeline there. So everything that we've imported in and placed in our timeline currently has a very hard cut in between the clips. If I wanted to make those a bit more gradual, I can add in some video transitions. So again, under effects and video transitions, some of the most commonly used ones are under the dissolve folder. Cross dissolve is very common. Dip to black is another. I'm going to go ahead and add in a cross dissolve, and again, you just click and drag it in between two clips. Let's see. So you can see how that's going to kind of fade from one clip into the other instead of doing that hard cut. So if I play this now, there it is. And I'll go ahead and do another one here. Now next I'm moving to my ocean scene, so since that's a more distinct transition, I might want to add in a dip to black here. And then I'm going to do cross dissolve on the rest of these two. You're welcome to play around with some of these other ones. I mean, there there are lots of ways to get creative with your transitions, and there are quite a few of them. Again, this is just working with the dissolve folder, but there are, the wipes are more similar to kind of some of the transitions that you would get with PowerPoint and that kind of thing, where, it transitions by wiping the screen from one to the next. Again, I just like to stick to the dissolves because they work, and and I don't have to think too much about it. But then, to show you what the fade to black looks like, that one is actually going to fade in and then fade out and then fade in. Let's see. Also notice some of these video clips came in smaller than the rest, which I'm not sure why that is, but there is a way to fix it. If you select a video clip and then select it in your program panel, you can click and drag and resize these so that then they fit your window. I'm going to go change the view so that I can see more of it. I'm going to go at 75. Whoop. Okay, just to make sure that it fits my window there. Okay, now those are the same size. I'm going to do the same thing for this one here. So again, you've got to make sure it's selected in the timeline, then double click on the video and drag it out. And finally, I think I'll actually do a fade to black instead of cross dissolve on that last one, just because it's the end of my video. You can also add the video transitions to the end of the video clips. So on the very last one, I may want to fade off into the background. And I might want one at the beginning as well, so that I fade in not only on my audio, but on the video as well. So then if I play that from the beginning, it kind of gradually opens up instead of just starting right away. Okay, so give you an idea how all that works. So now you know about the effects panel and how to add transitions to both your video and audio. Now let's talk a little bit about adding text overlays. And if you've got a logo or something like that, you can add pictures on top of your videos as well. I'm going to show you how to do this with text by adding a title and a credits reel to this video. So to do so, I want to go to my graphics workspace. Okay, and I want to find where I want to put this title in. When you go to the graphics workspace, you have this essential graphics panel, which is helpful because it's got a lot of different templates and things that you can use in your videos. So what I'm going to do for the title is do a search in my essential graphics window for title and just choose one of these. That way I don't have to worry about formatting or anything like that. Let's see. Let's go with this. Yeah, I like this this one here. So I'm going to drag that into my timeline right near the beginning there. Okay, and this one, it's actually got its own animation set up with it, so it's kind of cool. And then click on that. And using my selection tool up in the program panel, I should be able to double click on this to change the text. So let's see. It's a good name. Nature's Journey. If I want to put in a subtitle, I can. Okay. And if I play it from the beginning, I get the title coming up right away. It's almost too soon for me, so I think I'm going to move that forward a little bit and then trim it a bit. Let's let the video come up first. That's a little better. Okay. So that's, if you want to use one of the templates in Premiere Pro to create text elements, you can do that over in the Essential Graphics panel. If you want to design something from scratch, I'll show you how to do that with our credits here, which I'll start my credits reel on the beach scene at the end here. And you can do that by using the text tool or type tool right there in the program panel. Just make sure it's selected. Make sure that the video you want it on is selected and that your playhead is in the place where you want it to appear. Then as soon as you click in the program panel, you'll get a text box. And over in the Essential Graphics panel, you can format that text however you want it. You can choose a font. Let's see, that's something. Okay, here's my image. Let's do something simple for a. Yeah, so you can also choose the fill color and the stroke color for your text. Go ahead and go with white. Let's see. And I want my credits to be aligned in the center. So I'm going to click to center that. And let's see. Boxes. All right. Font doesn't seem to work. Let's go with good old Arial and see if we have any more luck. And again, you can adjust the font size either by playing with this slider here, or you can also click and drag on the text box to make it whatever size you want. So go ahead and put it over here. And I might want to underline that. I can do that. I can make it bold if I want, or italicized. Let's see. Click return, go down to the next line. Let's see. Reduced. It's a little larger than I want, so I'm going to reduce the size on that. I don't need that to be underlined. Used at. Beach library. Let's see. Post-production, I'll put myself in. Make that bold. Oh, sorry, bold. Okay. Underline that. Post-production by Ben Kahn. We'll do another line here. And let's see. I'm going to do credit the music because the music was not obtained through Pexels. The music was actually, I got that off of the Free Music Archive, which they do have some creative, or some public domain music there, but a lot of it is more Creative Commons. If you're not familiar with Creative Commons licensing, it's a licensing scheme where the creators basically give you permission ahead of time for certain things. This music file that I downloaded, again, is by a creator named Maydon. Let's see, so let's say music. That part. Go to the next line. Okay, and I believe it's just titled Rain. But this is using a Creative Commons BY license or Creative Commons attribution license. So let's see, the correct way to do this, I've actually got on the file name itself. Bring it up so I can find it again. Okay, so this is Pure Water by Maydon. It was retrieved from the Free Music Archive using a Creative Commons attribution license. So you might want to put in something like water. See that. Okay. Text box so we can see it. I'll go ahead and put the web address. So that's Music Archive. Org, I believe. Check that. Okay, so it is freemusicarchive.org. So this is the site where I got the audio file from. If anybody needs Creative Commons licensed audio, that's a great place to go. Now, back to my credits here. So Pure Water by Maydon from freemusicarchive.org. And you want to put the licensing information too. So CC BY is a Creative Commons attribution license. Now, I also promised I was going to show people how to animate this into a rolling credits. So once you've got all your text input, what you can do is I'm going to select the clip that has my text in there. And I want to go over to my source panel and go to Effects Controls, which is already open. But it's this little button here. It says Effects Controls. As long as that's selected, it should show me the effects controls for that clip. So this is where you can adjust things like the position, scale, rotation, and really any of the attributes about this text. And you can either make permanent changes to the whole thing. You know, if I wanted to move this over, I can change the horizontal position by scrolling on that X coordinate value there. Or you've got the Y coordinate value here. Now, to create the rolling credits, this is what you want to do. You want to go to that Y value there, or actually first, you want to make sure your playhead is at the beginning of that graphic clip. Then toggle the animation by clicking on this little stopwatch here next to position. And that's going to create what's called a keyframe. So keyframes are basically, important points in an animation sequence that are then interpolated between. In traditional animation studios, the head animators will be in charge of creating the keyframes. So to get the general sense of the animation going on, and then your lower level animators would go in and create the tweening effect. So they would do all the frames in between to create smooth transitions between the keyframes. So I can see my first keyframe here. It looks like a little diamond. And I'm going to change my vertical position value here so that it starts well off the screen. So you're going to need a high positive value. So right now, if I start at just over 3,000, that'll get it so it's fully off the screen. Then what I want to do is move my playhead to the end of that graphics clip. And now I'm going to create another keyframe. So I can hit this little diamond here to create the keyframe, and then adjust that vertical value back. Wrong way. And now I'm going to choose a high negative value. Let's see. And now if I've done this right, it should interpolate between those. So now if I play the end of my video here, I'll get those rolling credits coming up from the bottom there. Now, that was rather fast, so what I can do there is extend how long I want that clip to last, and then move that second keyframe over to the end. So now that should give it a bit more time, and that's a little more readable. Okay, so we've covered a lot today. I hope I didn't lose anybody, but that gives you a good idea of how to add some more professional looking quality to some of your videos and, put together something that you'll be proud to put out. So are there any questions? I'll go ahead and hand it back over to Craig.
Yep, if anyone has any questions, feel free to shout them out, I guess, at this point, since we're at that point.
Yeah, we only have a few people. So yeah, if you want to unmute yourselves and if you have any questions.
Yeah, that was a lot. Did you see my eyes glaze over? No, but it's really, it's amazing. What's the status at the library now on being able to go in? And if we wanted to work on something like this, are you able to work with us at all, or?
Right now, what I can do is I can set up another 30-minute Zoom session with you. Okay. If you'd like to have a 30-minute meeting with me, we can discuss, what it is you're working on and work through Zoom. Right now, we haven't opened it up yet to have people in the building, or at least not in the lab here. But yeah, if you'd like to set up that at the end of today's meeting, I'm going to be sending out an email that will have a link to the registration if you'd like to set up a one-on-one appointment.
Okay. So if we did something like that, I'm sorry, Melissa, like if I had a project I was working on, I could send the files or whatever to you, and we could work on it?
You can send the files to me if you want to work it on it together like that. Otherwise, we can do it through screen sharing. I mean, Zoom, we can enable it so that you're able to share your screen and I'm able to share mine, and that way we can see what you're doing and, talk to you about what you can work on.
Okay. So is it really easier than it looks like it looks right now?
It takes some time getting used to, and yeah, I know I was a little moving all over the place today, but yeah, I mean, focus on learning one thing at a time. And, the recording for today's webinar, if you'd like to review it, we are going to be posting that on the registration page for the class. So check back in about a day or two, and it should be on the registration page that you use to register for this class. It'll also be on our YouTube channel if you want to access it that way.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, my quick question was at the end there when you were dealing with the effects to animate the text and have it scroll. I couldn't see how you were toggling? How are you changing those X or Y values? Because I couldn't see where if your cursor.
You can do it a couple different ways. I was just clicking and dragging on the values, and if you click and drag up and down, it will change those values for you. Otherwise, I mean, you can double click and delete the value and then type whatever value you want.
Okay.
It just doing it that way, it gives you the visual as to where it's actually sitting. So.
Okay.
Great questions. Anyone else?
I think we've got time for one more. Yep.
Is there another way to do these transitions? Like, for example, when you use the PowerPoint, you have transitions that fade a video or make it bigger or make it turn.
Yeah, and again, those are all, as far as the video transitions, again, you'll want to go to the effects workspace, and then in the effects panel, go to video transitions. There's a lot of them. I only showed you the 2 today, but there are, probably close to 100 or more that you can put on there. So just, experiment with them. And again, getting them on there is just a matter of dragging them on to the end of a clip. Try them out, drag them on, play the video back and see what looks good.
I have one more quick question, and I just want to know, is Premiere Pro, can you use this same sort of approach for still photos, like to create?
Yes, absolutely. If you've got a logo or other brand thing that you want to add to the videos, you can absolutely import that into your resources in the project panel, and then just drag them onto one of your video clips or one of your video channels. I
guess my question though is, can I create a video from photos?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So if all I have are photos and I want to tie them together, transition them, put a bed on them, and create that kind of almost like a PowerPoint, but better,
Yes. When you drag it into the timeline, it'll look like a little pink box, sort of like what I was getting with the text elements, and you can adjust the end to decide how long you want that picture to run for. So yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else? You guys got a lot of good questions. Thank you for joining us for the library's Technology Training and Innovation Lab webinar series. Following today's presentation, you will receive an email with instructions for scheduling a one-on-one follow-up video conference, sort of what we've talked about just earlier, with a presenter, as well as a short survey about your experience at today's webinar. Please continue to visit our website, delraylibrary.org, to sign up for more online classes, check out our many digital resources, or consider making a donation to support programs like the one you just attended. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.